It is Saturday the 14th of September 2019. We're here at the Bows Show. This is the one annual event that we attend where we go in for all the competitions. Last year we did very well because we won the best in competition in the industrial section, so we actually had a trophy for that, which I've just had to hand back because we only get it for a year. But we're here a bit early, so lots of people still coming in, but we've got all our entries in place. I've looked at some of the other entries, and let's say I'm not expecting to repeat last year's success. So still lots of entries to come along. However, this is the lone loaf of bread, which is mine, and it only seems to be one entry for this one, because I'm the only person listed as entering this. So I don't know whether that means I win first, second and third. Yeah, this is my apple pie, but as you can see I didn't properly glaze it. Oh well. And then along here is my flan. Don't think I'll be winning any prizes with that, especially when you compare them to these brilliant examples. That's my cherry vodka. As you can see, everybody else has used posh bottles. And also an awful lot of entries in this category.
For the Shetland Standard Championship. So the first and second prize winners, the class is 51 to 54.
So in the bird appraisal, the males are always smaller than females.
The class has been burned and is over in the marquee.
Here he
Mummy,
comes.
he's coming!
So as he comes in, that's my shell that he's going to get it this time.
Mummy, he
Just like trying to find somewhere where he can catch it, not collide with anything.
came through there.
Here he comes. Oh, there he's
Good
gone.
boy. And then he'll come land on his lure.
It has now gone 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that means that the judging is now over and the marquee has been reopened. And surprise, surprise, there was only one entry in the bread making competition, and it was mine, and that meant I got first prize. So there we have the loaf of bread, but next to it is its certificate for first prize, and then look what we've got here. A first prize for our cheese scones. And not just any old first prize, because we've got best in scones, all categories, which comes with a rosette. Now, we've never before come anywhere near close to winning any prize ever in all the years we've been coming to the Bows Show for our scones. Until now. Because not only did we win first prize for the cheese scones, we've won first prize for the fruit scones as well. It's quite funny because I was thinking this morning, I wasn't really hopeful of getting any prizes, and the thought had passed through my mind that maybe in future we'll probably not bother doing the scones because we'd never ever won before. Now we've got a trophy to defend. Right, back in the Land Rover now, we're about to head home, and here is my trophy. It's the Ivy Hodgson trophy for best scones in show. It is Monday the 23rd of September 2019. I'm doing jam making today. Well, at the moment I've just got plans for one specific jam that I'm making, which is blackberry, apple and rhubarb. Now it might seem a bit of an odd mix, but we need the apples in to provide the pectin to get it to set, and at the moment we have a bit of a glut of rhubarb that urgently needed to be used up, and if we didn't use it up we would end up losing it. And the blackberries were picked a couple of weeks ago and I had to go away last week, so they went into the freezer temporarily, but I didn't want them using up freezer space, so hence the idea for turning all of these into jam. If I've got time later today, and that's going to be a big if because I don't think I will have time, but if I've got time later today, then I've got a whole bunch of manky old lemons like that that need to be used up. Now obviously we didn't grow these ourselves, but we buy lemons when we make jam because the lemon juice contains the pectin to get the jam to set. And these ones just didn't get used up, along with a few others as well. But don't throw them out. It's best to use them, but obviously you're not going to be able to chop one of those up and put in your gin and tonic. We'll turn these instead into marmalade. Meanwhile, we're just going to let this simmer for about an hour and a half so that all the fruit and rhubarb pulps down. So this is now all pulped down, and in the pan we started off with a kilo of rhubarb, a kilo of apples and a kilo of blackberries. So for every kilo of contents we add a kilo of sugar. Well, the jars have just come out of the oven, and over here you see the jam is bubbling away. Pan in the background there, kettle is boiling water to sterilise the lids, but this is now ready to go into jars. So there we have it, 15 jars and a weeny little bowl as well. It is Monday the 30th of September 2019. We had a bit of a problem at the end of last week. As you can see behind me is our quail house, and unfortunately the rats got in. Might be in a stoat, I think possibly more likely to be rats. Rather annoyingly, I'd already put rat poison down a few days before to keep the rat population under control, but they got in and they killed quite a few of our quail. Now on the floor of the quail house it's mesh, and we'd put over that some paving stones, but not all paving stones fit, and the rats had tunnelled underneath, but the mesh had been down for about 5 years now, and that meant it had rusted in parts, so that was the reason the rats were able to get through. So we've taken what quail we have left, 8 of them. We have removed them temporarily to our back garden into the nursery cage that we have there, where we put the chicks after they get a bit too big for the brooder box, and they're going to be there for a few days whilst we sort out the floor of the quail house. So David is in there now and he is concreting over the floor. We've already done a quarter of it, and we've left the mesh in place so that it acts as a sort of reinforcement, but the concrete effectively washes through the mesh to fill any rat holes underneath. Alright, David has just reminded me that technically it's concrete, it's cement that we're putting in, not concrete, and I'm no good at building, so I wouldn't know things like that, so thank you very much, David. This will obviously need to take a few days to dry out, but in the meantime we are redoubling our anti-vermin efforts. So rat poison is down in various places, and if we spot any, if we have the air rifle here with us, then that'll get used as well. This is our feed shed, and as you can see we go to a lot of effort to make sure that the any vermin cannot get to the feed. It's all kept in aluminium bins, and we've never had a loss from, we've never had vermin getting in into them. I think the quail out itself was, now that it is sorted and the feed isn't spilling out from it, that means I think that the any vermin problem is now checked, but you can never be 100% free of them, because they will, what's it say, people are never more than 10 metres from rats, wherever you are in the country, as I say, back home we've got the quail, the adult quail that we've got left, but fortunately a couple of weeks ago we put 20 quail eggs into the incubator, and they are due to hatch in the next few days. Now yesterday here on the Winnies we had a bit of a, I suppose you could call it a hedge action day, to try and get some of the communal hedges brought down to size, and as you can see, this one behind me here has been significantly reduced in height, but it rained quite heavily, so having been rained off, we only got part of the job done, and as you can see, this side of the hedge, a lot more work needs to be done to it. So the brilliant thing about doing this work is that it provided a huge amount of food for our goats. In fact, they're still eating it, and will do for the next 2 or 3 days. Now, what I'm going to do with this hedge is I volunteered to just gradually just cut it back over the next couple of weeks, so that we can provide our goats with some food, but also get the hedge brought down to size, because it was really a bit on the large size, and because it was so high it was actually getting quite difficult to cut the top of it, so the top of it wasn't getting cut, and therefore it was getting higher and higher and higher. Once it's down, now that it's down to that height, that makes it much easier to maintain it. So all the branches were moved to outside our gate on our near side plot, and this is what's left for them to eat, so this will last a couple of days, and it is all full of their favourites, such as ash and hawthorn, and indeed there are haw-berries in there, and the goats love them. You know when they're eating them, because you can hear them crunching the stones in them. Well, I've just been chopping branches, and I suddenly heard a lot of geese, and there they are, flying overhead. Amazing though. Well, it's quite an interesting way to close September from self-sufficient in Suburbia. So join us next month when hopefully that field that we've been trying to buy for the past 5 months Hopefully it'll be in our possession by then. Fingers crossed.